How's it going, everyone? What is up? Welcome back to the channel and a video that no one probably expected, but it's something I wanted to talk about. If you guys haven't been with the channel for like the past 5 years, you probably wouldn't realize that I used to make videos like this. I used to make videos covering TV shows, talking about TV shows, and the main ones that I talked about were The Flash, Arrow, and Supernatural. And well, if you've been living under a rock or don't watch good television, then you might not know that Supernatural just came to an end. It had its series finale about a month ago. I think it was on November 24th. This show finally came to an end after 15 years and 15 seasons, and I've watched all of them. I've watched some seasons more times than I care to actually list. I think I watched seasons 1 through 10 at least 6 times. And I mean, I'm talking 6 times on repeat. Now, to give a little backstory before we actually get into this angry-ish rant, I started watching this show when I was like 15 years old. I found this show when I was having a hard time in my life. My grandmother just passed away. One of the people who helped raise me, but actually really did, along with my granddad, raise me, took me in for a long time. And this show was a big part of what helped me cope. I know that's not healthy, to sit inside 24/7 watching 9 seasons of a TV show, 10 seasons of a TV show on repeat for, 2 months straight. But it helped me keep my sanity. And leave it to me to pick a TV show where the characters die over and over and over and over again to help me cope with my first experience with death. That was a fucking genius decision on my part. Yeah, in retrospect, I probably shouldn't have done that. But either way, before we actually get into this big angry review, angry-ish review, just know there will be spoilers for the season 15 finale, for the finale of Supernatural. I don't want anyone to come into this episode, this video, thinking that I'm not going to completely spoil this episode, because I fucking am. I need to talk about this with the all of 30 people who are going to watch this. So, with that all out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into this. So, season 15 has been a weird season for me, for Supernatural. I mean, it's been a season that I've really enjoyed, even though a lot of other people haven't. I always felt like that I never knew how they were going to end this show. Like, they do the Monsters of the Week, they fought Lucifer, they fought Purgatory, Leviathans, they fought, the King of Hell, they fought Lucifer more times than I can count, they fought Michael, they fought Otherworld Michaels, like, they've done everything. I always kind of knew, like, with the, around the end of season, what was it, 5? When Chuck was led to believe, we were led to believe that Chuck was God because he just disappeared out of nowhere. I always kind of knew that God was going to be a bad guy. And the more that you end up seeing Chuck in Supernatural, and the more you end up seeing Chuck as God, and how his character evolves from still the squirrely little helpful bastard into this kind of cynical, kind of a douchebag type character, you always knew that the show was going to end with them fighting God. I mean, I always kind of knew it. I always wondered where God was in the TV show, and I always had a feeling that that was going to be what ended the show, because how else can you end a show where they've killed Lucifer? Like, who was the final big bad? And I just kind of always knew it was going to be him. So, a lot of people didn't really enjoy the season, or at least a lot of people that I've talked to, they didn't enjoy the season up until the finale. They didn't care for it. They didn't care for the Monsters of the Week. They didn't care for the big plot line with God. They didn't care for any way that, they were going about the end of the show, the last season of the show. And I don't really know how else they would have done it in my head. Season 15 does feel like it was written really well. Like, how else can you write a fight with God? What else could they have done? They killed Death again. They ended up beating God in probably the best way possible. My prediction all the way from the minute that I saw Jack and knew that he was a good guy came true, and Jack became the new God. I called that shit happening. Even when it happened, I sat there screaming beside my fiance, probably in her ear, and was saying I was right. I was fucking right. I knew that was going to happen, and I did. But then that's just all the way up until episode 19 of season 15. Episode 19, to me, and this is where we get to the angry part, it felt like the perfect send-off. I was sitting there with my fiance, we were watching it, And we were both questioning. We were like, wait, is this the end? This is the end, right? This is how the show ends. They're doing the recap. They're doing the flashbacks. They're doing the best of. And we were both like, did we miscount the episodes? Is this it? This makes sense, right? And she's sitting there because she had the ending spoiled for her on Facebook, because I'm obsessive and I follow way too many groups for the things that I like on Facebook. And she had it spoiled for her, and she's like, wait, this makes no sense. This can't be it. This isn't what happened on Facebook. And it wasn't. There was another episode after this perfect send-off to me. Like, Season 15, Episode 19 is, in my eyes, the true finale. That's how the show should have ended right there. And I know I'm probably already going to get a lot of blowback from 5 of the 20 people watching this, saying that that was the perfect send-off, but it was. Before we even get to the finale episode, there was no need for either of these two characters to die here. They always, what they wanted through this whole season, what all they talked about was not being hamsters on a wheel anymore. They talked about being free of the stories that had been written for them, being free of the ending already being written for them. They wanted to make their own story, and it seemed like they were finally going to get that. And so episode 19 was the perfect send-off. They got to ride off into the sunset to a badass song and a best-of montage. That was it. That was the finale. That is where it should have ended. And then, lo and behold, episode 20 starts. And we're at this weirdly optimistic, happy beginning. And I don't know, it just kind of blew my mind when it started. Because it's just literally a monster of the week. And I know, like, reading what I've read over the past little bit, because I'm literally recording this review maybe 40 minutes, 30 minutes after getting done watching the episode. I cried my fucking eyes out. I've read some things about it. I read what other people said about it, and I just felt like I had to say something. And it literally, the episode just starts as a monster of the week thing. Like, these guys, they're killing people, cutting out tongues, and taking kids. Something we've seen in Supernatural probably 100 times, at least. And, of course, Sam and Dean go after them. From the beginning of the episode, it really looked like that Jack might have gotten rid of all the monsters, because they were having trouble finding anything. And there were some really happy moments in this episode, like Dean finally going to a pie convention or whatever the hell that was, and them sitting there joking and laughing and everything else. And then the episode eventually leads up to, you know, what we all kind of expected, but wasn't necessary, in my opinion. And we get to the barn scene where they find out that it was a bunch of vampires who captured the kids. Seen vamps a million times. It's literally just a monster of the week type thing. And for some fucking reason, this is where we get into the, like, really angry part. For some fucking reason, this show decides to kill a character who's killed God. Didn't really kill him. Depowered God. Overcame God. Literally killed Lucifer. Has killed thousands of vampires. Thousands of other fucking bullshit monsters of the week. And he gets taken down by a rusty spike in a barn by a vampire the size of Mark fucking Henry. Who, what? Like, ugh, just thinking about it, I'm still like, Jesus fucking Christ, why? It wasn't even the fact that he died, right? Like, Dean always said, you know, in the show, they've always written that character to want to go down in a blaze of glory. He never wanted to die at 90 in a warm bed. That's just not who that character was. And I knew a character was going to die. My fiance, after she had it spoiled for her, told me for, like, the past 3 fucking weeks that I was going to cry and I was going to be sad. And I did. Cried my eyes out. But the fact that this character, who's literally overcame celestial beings, got taken down by a rusty spike in a barn by Mark Henry the vampire, really just something about it just fucking twists my fucking ass hairs for some reason. I don't know why. It just kills me. This character feels like he deserves so much more than being taken out in such a lame way. It wasn't even a blaze of glory. Yeah, it was the family business, saving people, hunting things. It was a vampire. You know, they were doing what they've always done, what they've always known, but at the same time, it's literally just a fucking vampire in a barn when they just got done taking down God. and they decide to kill this character like this, and it just kind of blows my mind. Not only for the fact of that it was so much less than what the character deserved if they were going to kill him off, but killing him off at that point was completely unnecessary, because they've finally broken the will. They finally broke the chain of being controlled, all the way back from not knowing about it through seasons 1 through 4 to actually knowing about it and thinking they broke the chain from like seasons, what was it, 5 through fucking 14 up to that point in time, and then finding out that everything's been a game, everything's been words on a page by God, and then finally breaking that chain, and they still decide to kill the character after he's gotten the ending that he didn't know that he wanted. He was finally free. The character was finally free. He was finally free to do whatever the hell he wanted, to hunt until he died, to hunt until he did go out in a blaze of glory, or was lucky enough to die in a warm bed. Even though that's not what he wanted, that's still what the character deserves. And you don't always have to give a character what they want. It's more of what the character deserves based on everything that they've done and overcome. To me, it makes no sense to me being killed by a vampire. I don't give a damn how big the vampire is. Didn't they just beat the hell out of a vampire like 2 times the size of that vampire like 6 episodes ago, without the luck that they were given by God to actually do all the things that they did from seasons 1 through 15, and they still managed to take that vampire down with the help of Garth? Like, it just makes no sense. I don't give a damn how big the vampire was. It made no sense whatsoever for them to literally just get done depowering God, putting a new God into service. These 2 characters literally took all the steps over the past 2 seasons, 3 seasons since Jack's been there, and put him into power as God. He didn't do it. They did it with all the choices they made. Jack didn't do that. They did it. So they literally depower God and put a new God into power. And then one of them dies from a vampire and a rusty spike in a barn. Now, don't get me wrong. The death scene was very emotional. It was very, very well written. Amazingly acted by Jared and Jensen. Like, it was, I started bawling like a baby. Like, truly, I'm not afraid to admit it. I'm 22 years old, I have a fiance, and I have a almost 1-year-old child. And I still sat there crying like I lost a family member. And that just goes to show how well the show can be written, how well the characters are written, and how well the characters are acted by these 2 actors. And it was emotional, yeah, but it still made no sense. This character deserved a lot more than dying to a fucking rusty spike in a barn. If they were gonna kill him, they should have at least had a fucking planet fall on him or something, because that's pretty much the only thing that would have made sense to kill this character at this point, is a fucking planet falling on him, because that sounds like the only thing that could have stopped him. If you would have told me in season 10 that this character, that Dean, while he had the mark of Cain, if you would have told me at that point in time that by season 15, after he lost the mark of Cain and took down God and everything else, that he would have died to a vampire in a barn by being impaled on a rusty spike, if you would have told me that, I would have told you were fucking crazy and to shove it where the sun don't shine, because that makes no sense whatsoever. But moving past that, Dean, in the very emotional dialogue that they had, from what I remember, amidst the tears and sniffling and having trouble breathing, because if I took a big breath, I was just gonna let it fucking all out and just cry. Amidst all of that, you know, hearing all the promises that were made, Dean making Sam tell him it was gonna be okay, making Sam promise that there was no resurrections, that it never ends well for them, and all of that, I understand. I get that. If you're gonna have I don't even know what to say, the gall to kill your own character on your TV show. I know, I sound entitled, but still. If you're going to do that, at least make it final. And fair enough, they did. And then we get this montage. Sam is, like, I cried even more. Because if you've experienced death, we've all been there, right? We've all been there. We lose a family member that we love very much, that we were very attached to. You put on a baggy hoodie, and you mope around, and you break down crying every 5 minutes for like the next month and a half. And so that really resonated, and that made me cry more without realizing why I was crying until like I thought about it. And like, that was well written, well acted, again, too. I think the dog added to it. It's just, Dean's dog just following him around. I think that added to it. It's making me sad thinking about it again. But then, it progresses through. Sam gets to, and I'm really happy they did this. I just hate the way they did it. Sam gets to grow old. He finds a woman, I guess. I don't know why that wasn't Eileen. If Jack brought everyone back, Eileen should be back. That should be Eileen. And I started crying even harder when I saw that Sam's kid was named Dean. He was walking around with a little Dean overalls on. That made me cry even harder. Like, that whole Sam part was really good. Like, the whole Sam lead up. Everything to do with Sam after Dean. That was really good. He got to live the life that he wanted. And great. But, I don't know. And then we get to Dean in heaven. Everything's being explained. I like what Jack did with heaven. I understand why Jack and Castiel, Misha Collins and Alex Calvert, they couldn't be there because of COVID and everything else. And there goes this video. It's getting demonetized. But anyway, they couldn't be there because of the coof. And it understandable. I don't see why they didn't just wait until the coof was over to actually do all of this so they could have the real final ending realized and have everything that they wanted for a show that's been on TV for 15 years. I don't know why they didn't just wait, unless it was like higher-ups at the CW or whatever else pushing them to do it. They could have just waited because, I mean, this is the final piece of mainstream media for these characters, for this show. So it makes no sense as to why they didn't wait and give every character in the show their final ending. Like, it just made no sense to me whatsoever upon realizing that all of these other characters, Eileen was supposed to be there, Jack was supposed to be there, Cass was supposed to be there. There were a few others that were supposed to be there. I think Donna was supposed to be there. Sheriff Jody Mills was supposed to be there. And it just makes no sense as to why they didn't wait to have this ending, like, realized. But you get a bunch of cuts back and forth with Carry On playing, which I was pissed that it didn't play it at the beginning of the episode, but I halfway knew that it would come later on. And it did, and it was emotional, and it really helped to hammer everything else home. And we get to see the montage of Sam growing old. And the one part, I was still crying, so I didn't pay that much attention to it. And I saw it for what it was instead of how it was done. Sam looking like Doc Brown with that really bad wig on when he gets in the Impala while he's old. I was too busy crying to laugh. And, Dean still driving. He has to talk with Bobby, like I said. And then we get Sam on his deathbed that looks really, really good. Very good prosthetic makeup, whatever else. With little Dean there, and everything else. And, of course, Sam dies after getting some of the same words. And they end up in heaven together, whatever else. I don't know. I feel like this ending just really rubs me the wrong way. For some reason, I just felt like episode 19 was the best episode to end this on. I wish they would have actually given Dean the metaphorical planet falling on him ending instead of a rusty spike in an old barn. And I wish that they would have ended, like, even the ending that they went with, fine, whatever, I wish it would have been better. But I still feel like the show should have ended on episode 19. That's just what felt right. We got the best of montage. We got them driving off into the sunset. They were both going to grow old. They could have done a movie or whatever else to kill these characters in a spectacular way with bringing characters back and everything else. I really don't know if it's because the actors wanted to move on so bad or whatever else, or if the TV show executives wanted to get it done. I know Kripke said that if they brought him back to do the ending, it would have been a lot worse. He always said it was a horror movie, so it would have got a horror movie ending. But there's always a final girl. And the Winchesters felt like they were the final girls of this horror movie TV show. And your final girls usually live, bruised and battered, but they usually live, and they have a reason for living. And I felt like these characters meant so much more to people than to actually do the characters like this. I felt like not only the fans, but the characters got the ending they deserved in episode 19. And I wish, I can't say that because you can't just delete something that is that powerful. But, like, my first initial thought was delete episode 20, episode 19 is the ending. And they can play off of that however they wanted. But in episode 20, I do feel like there were so many different things that they could have done different with these characters, and how they ended Dean, and how they ended Sam and everything else, and how the show ended in general, with leaving so many characters behind in the last form of mainstream media that it seems like the show is going to get. Because I've heard a lot of people argue, and even like I talked with my fiance about it after watching it and after calming down. And she did raise a very good point. I mean, Jack is the new God. You know, I guess if he wanted to, God is powerful enough to pull Dean out of a certain point in time. He could go back in time to when Dean died and Sam's there, and he could save him in like a movie, or if they ever wanted to do more seasons of the show, they could do that, but it's supernatural, and I really don't see them doing that. Every time they've time traveled, they've fixed whatever they've done. The Titanic episode, John and Mary Winchester, that episode, and everything else. I just don't see how they would realistically continue this show based off of the rules that they've set previously. Like even a movie or anything that's been very, very talked about by both actors, and even I think Andrew Dabb commented on it over the past few years. At least over the past year since we've known Supernatural season 15 was going to be the end. A movie's been in talks, but you tell me how the end of this ending, how they can do a movie or a limited series or anything else with these two characters. They killed the characters here. Sam grew old, and Dean died in a barn on a spike. I don't know, man. It just kind of blows my mind. I feel like they could have done so much more with this ending, or I feel like they could have done nothing at all and left it at episode 19. And I think everybody would have been happy with that. I don't think you would have had any problems with that at all, because the characters got the ending they deserved after their character growth in season 15, with going from wanting to go out in a blaze of glory to just wanting to be free of the will. And they were finally free of that will. They were finally broke of those chains. And they still get a shitty ending in my eyes. But I don't know. That's just my opinion. This video's run on for 23 minutes. But I wanted to voice my opinion to anybody who would watch. Again, I used to cover this show on this channel, so I wanted to give my opinions on it. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Thank you so much for watching. I really, really, really appreciate it if you took the time out of your day to watch this long-ass review on a fighting game channel. But this was a show I was really passionate about. This was actually the only TV show I've watched besides recently The Witcher for the past, 5-6 years. This has just been it. I haven't really cared for any other TV show. I stopped watching The Flash. I stopped watching Arrow. None of them just resonated the way that Supernatural did with me. I never connected with the characters on those shows the way I did with Supernatural, and it just breaks my heart the way it ends, because like every Supernatural fan knew that there was a damn good chance it was going to end bloody. We just didn't think it was going to end with the amount of blood that we got, which was barely any, and that's just my opinion. But anyways, if I had to rate this finale, honestly, because I know everybody likes to latch on to the number system, I'd honestly give this finale a 5 or a 6 out of 10. I'd give episode 19 a 10 out of 10. That was a damn good episode to go out on, and I wish they would have. But as this for a finale, for not only fan service, but just for character writing, I'm giving it like a 5 or a 6. And it's only getting that much because of how hard it hit me, because of how well the actors did, you know, playing what they were giving out. And, yeah, it's my opinion. I might get flamed for it, but I hope some of you are coming from the same places that I came from and understand it in the same ways that I do. Let me know what you think about it in the comments down below, though. I'd really, really appreciate to hear what you guys have to say. So let me know, and let's have a discussion about it. But that's gonna do it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.